So, what does it really mean to be retired? Well, according to the dictionary, retirement means to leave one's job and cease working. But is that really the whole story? For the past century, retirement and living life in general has been growing up, going to a school or a trade, work for someone else. Hours keep adding up day by day to the point where you're 65 years old, you have enough in your pension or 401k to retire, and statistically speaking, you end up dying within 10 years. But for me in my life, it looks a little bit different. So, at 23 years old, I've retired. Not financially retired, not yet at least. Hopefully this whole YouTube thing blows up, but yes, I still do work a full-time job. I work remote, and that's because I live on the road and I have to fund this whole project somehow. And for those who are wondering, I'm in sales. I pretty much talk to people all day. It's pretty competitive and I absolutely love it. But I've retired for something much bigger. I've retired from the idea that you have to literally work until you're 65 to actually start living. Instead of waiting for some distant day when I can finally live a life on my own terms, I chose to start now. Look, I know I might not be the richest man in the world and, I still work a full-time job. I get to essentially live where I want, work where I want, travel on the weekends, and I essentially do it debt-free, living in this bus. And I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to be on the beach in the middle of California cooking breakfast every single morning? Plus, what does being rich even mean? Does that mean having a monetary value? Does that mean being wealthy? Because I personally don't think so. I think health is wealth. You can have millions and millions and millions of dollars, but if you don't have a purpose in life, then that number doesn't even mean anything. So while most people essentially do the same thing every weekend, hang around the same crowd, hang around the same people, go to the same bar, and get drunk just to forget about the past week that happened, I'm essentially doing the opposite. I'm traveling. I'm meeting new people. I'm experiencing different foods. I'm experiencing different cultures. I'm experiencing different places as a whole. But most importantly, I'm challenging myself. And let me tell you, there has definitely been some challenges so far in this road trip. Choosing this type of lifestyle was definitely not easy because it's not the normal path, but it definitely comes with its own set of challenges. But society tries to paint this picture of a perfect life, which is getting a job, get a mortgage, and live for the weekend. And when you really take a step back and look at it, it's really society just trapping us. With that being said, there are definitely some days where I wish I had a stable routine and having a stable roof under your head in general, because to be honest with you, we don't really know where we're parking all the time, and a lot of times it's not safe too, so just a lot of things to account for. Sometimes things just break. There's nothing you can do about it but try to fix it. But other times there's times where you break down in the middle of nowhere, and there's really nothing you can do. I remember our first breakdown a couple months ago. We were in the middle of Montana, in the middle of nowhere, stranded. The closest city was 30 miles away, and we had to get towed for around $1,000. And there's nothing in this world that could prepare you for that. Like, literally nothing. And if you go on the internet and see some of these videos, it's all glamorous, it's beautiful views, and everything's perfectly fine. And honestly, I'm kind of guilty of that too. But to be honest with you, after doing this for a couple months, it's nothing like that. Like, ever. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some things that you can't control when it comes to breaking down or just things breaking in general. But the biggest challenge for me was breaking free of the mindset of what society portrays us to live, which is essentially work until you're 65 and then you can start living. That was the biggest challenge for me. With all that being said, I didn't choose this lifestyle because it was easy. I chose this lifestyle to break through the 9-to-5 mindset and what a retirement should look like. That's why I live this lifestyle. Rule number one when traveling, that's when you see water, you got to go in it. And to be honest with you, that's kind of my shout for the day. But with that being said, the truth is, when it comes to retirement, it's not just leaving your job as a whole. Really just getting out of the rat race, the race that we've all have been guilty of chasing, because it's deteriorating us physically, mentally, spiritually, and just as a whole. And for me, the reward of retirement is just freedom. The freedom to travel and wake up to these views every single day, meet new people, and just overall experience different things. That's my dream. That's my retirement. For me, I have a little bit of a different definition of what success actually is. To me, success isn't about having money. It's not about having fame. And it's not about having status or materialistic things. It's just about freedom. The freedom to go do whatever I want, whenever I want, how I want it, and who I want to do it with. And look, I'm not saying you need to live this type of lifestyle. I'm not saying you need to quit your job and buy a bus and renovate it into a little tiny home where you can travel the country. And to be honest with you, it's a little bit too extreme. But for me personally, this was the only way out. Because if not, I would just be doing the same thing every single weekend, hanging around the same people, and just stuck in the rat race. You know, other great examples of doing things that are similar to this is starting a business, backpacking in another country, moving to another city, or just figuring out what you're passionate about and then chasing that. Because at the end of the day, retirement's all about choosing a life that you don't want to escape from, whether that be living on a beach, living in a city, living in another country. It's about choosing your path that you're passionate about. And that's it. So I guess the original question comes down to, am I really retired? I guess not in the traditional sense, but I've retired from the fact that I have to wait until I'm 65 years old to travel and see the things I want to see and actually start living. And to be honest with you, that's a retirement that I'm pretty proud of, because right now at 23 years old, I live the life that I want to live. I see the things that I want to see, and that's all that matters. And if you're going to get anything out of this video or anything out of the things that I showed you for my type of lifestyle that I live, then it's just to live uncomfortable and find the things that you're passionate about and chase it. Because at the end of the day, we only get one shot at this whole life, so you might as well make the most of it. That being said, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next video. Ciao.